primordial beginning. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. To understand the world as it was before the first human walked its soil, we must travel back to a time when there was no time, no sun, and no stars. As recorded in the authentic tradition of Sahih al-Bukhari, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "First of all, there was nothing but Allah, and his throne was upon the water." Imagine a vast celestial ocean extending into the infinite, with the throne of the Almighty resting above it. This was the first state of existence. Ibn Kathir, in his monumental work Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, explains that the first of all created objects was the pen. Allah commanded the pen to write. The pen, trembling in awe, asked, "What shall I write, my Lord?" Allah replied, "Write the destiny of all things until the day of judgment." At that moment, every drop of rain that would ever fall, every leaf that would ever wither, and every breath of every soul was recorded in the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. For 50,000 years after this recording, the heavens and the earth remained as one mass before they were separated by divine command to form the universe we know today, the era of the Hin and the Bin. When the earth was first spread out, it was a raw and magnificent landscape of jagged mountains and steaming oceans. It was not empty. Long before Adam, the earth was a theater of life for creatures that have since vanished into the mists of history. Ibn Kathir, drawing from the narrations of the companions and early scholars, mentions that before the jinn, there were creatures known as the Al-Hin and Al-Bin. These were physical, sentient beings who inhabited the earth's valleys. They were not spirits, but creatures of flesh and blood, separate from the nature of humans and the nature of jinn. However, these beings lacked the spiritual steadfastness to maintain the earth. They became the first to spill blood and spread corruption. They lived in chaos, fighting amongst themselves, until they were no longer fit to be the stewards of the land. It was during this time that the jinn were created, not from clay, but from ma'arijin min nar, a smokeless, searing flame, as described in Surah Ar-Rahman. The jinn were sent to the earth, and in a great celestial battle, they overpowered the Hin and the Bin, becoming the new masters of the world. The reign and rebellion of the jinn. For thousands of years, the jinn thrived. They built civilizations that were hidden from human eyes and inhabited the furthest reaches of the globe. But as centuries turned into millennia, the jinn fell into the same trap as those before them. Pride took root in their hearts. They grew arrogant and began to shed blood in the very valleys they were meant to protect. The earth groaned under their weight. Their wars were so violent that the angels in the heavens took notice of the rising darkness. Ibn Kathir details that Allah eventually sent an army of angels to descend upon the earth. These heavenly hosts purged the land of the corrupt and drove the rebellious jinn away from the habitable lands, forcing them into the remote islands and the dark depths of the oceans, places where they reside to this day. Among the jinn during this era of conflict was a youth named Iblis. He was different from the rest of his kind. While others fought for power, he spent his time in intense worship of the Creator. He was so pious and devoted that he was elevated by Allah to live among the angels in the heavens. Though he was a jinn by nature, created from fire, he stood in the celestial ranks as one of the most honored servants. Yet deep within his heart, a seed of pride was waiting for the right moment to sprout. The divine announcement. The earth now lay silent, cleansed of the great wars of the jinn. It was at this moment of peace that Allah made an announcement to the assembly of angels that would change the course of history forever. As revealed in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah said, "Indeed, I will make upon the earth a successive authority, a Khalifa." The angels, remembering the bloodshed of the Hin and the Bin and the corruption of the jinn, were filled with a holy concern. They did not ask out of rebellion, but out of a desire to understand the wisdom of the divine. They asked, "Will you place upon it one who causes corruption therein and sheds blood, while we declare your praise and sanctify you?" They could not imagine a physical being who would not succumb to the same greed and violence they had witnessed for thousands of years. But Allah, the All-Knowing, replied with words that defined the human condition. Indeed, I know that which you do not know. He had a plan for a creation that would possess the power of choice, a creation that could rise higher than the angels through faith or fall lower than the beasts through disbelief. The gathering of the clay. To begin the creation of this new being, the command was given to gather the materials of the earth. In a narration found in the works of Ibn Kathir and the Sunan, it is stated that Allah sent an angel to gather soil from every part of the globe. This soil was diverse. It included red clay, white sand, jet black earth, and yellow dust. It included the soft soil of the plains and the hard rocks of the mountains, the sweet soil of the gardens and the bitter soil of the deserts. This is why, as the Prophet Muhammad explained, the children of Adam are so diverse in their colors, their shapes, and their temperaments. They are a reflection of the very earth from which their ancestor was molded. This soil was mixed with water until it became salsal, sounding clay. Allah shaped the form of Adam with his own hands and left it to dry. For 40 years, the body of Adam lay at the gates of paradise, a silent, hollow statue of clay. Iblis would walk around this new creation, striking the hollow clay and hearing it ring, feeling a growing jealousy for this thing that was destined to be his superior. The world stood in anticipation. The jinn watched from the shadows. The angels waited in silence, and the mold of Adam was ready for the breath of life.